This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one-of-its-kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sfurti, shakti and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
Hello, friends. Good morning, good evening, from whichever part of the world you are in. Welcome to Bharat FM, and on this special day and the special program that we have lined up for you. Today is Father's Day, and we have this Father's Day special for you, where we are going to have a panel of personalities all around the globe, not just in one particular country. But before we start our program, I would like to share a video which is relevant to what we are going to discuss. So let me share the video with you first.
Before you have your own child, celebrating Father's Day is that one day a year where dad gets to feel appreciated. You know, when you were in school, maybe you made him a card or a gift, and then as you got older, if you're lucky enough to live close by, you can have a meal, maybe lunch or dinner, and spend some time together. When you become a dad yourself, the meaning of Father's Day changes. Sure, you can still celebrate with your father, but all of a sudden, you are the one being celebrated. It is a very strange feeling, at least for your first couple of Father's Days. Now it's your child who is making that paper tie that says Happy Father's Day. But how did Father's Day start and why? In this video, we're going over the history of Father's Day. What's the origins of this holiday and what does it mean? Is it really about barbecuing and beer? Let's find out. Hey guys, I'm Jason Kreidman, 8. And there was a Sunday morning service organized by a woman named Grace Clayton. And this was in Fairview, West Virginia. And the reason for this service is that 362 men and boys had died in a Fairmont mine explosion the year before. That explosion was in Monongah, West Virginia, and Fairmont was very close by. Out of those 360 plus, 200 of those men were fathers. This was a big deal in the area at the time. Over 1,000 children went fatherless as a result of these explosions. Remember, over 200 plus fathers were killed in these explosions. So when things are mentioned in the history of Father's Day, this is often one of those first recorded celebrations of fathers. So it is often highlighted when we talk about the history of Father's Day. Then in 1909, there was this guy, William Jackson Smart. He was a farmer and a Civil War veteran, and he raised a daughter and 5 boys by himself. It seems that his wife had died during the birth of their 6th child. The daughter, who was the oldest, was named Sonora Smart Dodd. And she was at a Mother's Day service in 1909 in Spokane, Washington. And she thought of this idea of celebrating her father. She wanted to honor him and the other fathers. She's sitting at this Mother's Day celebration. She doesn't have her mom anymore. And her dad's the one who raised her. So she'd like to celebrate that and really honor him. Miss Dodd really tried to drum up support for her idea of celebrating her father. She went to the local government, she went to store owners, she just tried all these organizations, and it was the YMCA that really stepped up and wanted to help her celebrate this. She wanted to have this celebration on June 5th because that was her father's birthday. But the Spokane Ministerial Association and the YMCA said, hey, we'll do it on the third Sunday in June. That'll give it some distance between Mother's Day, which was on the second Sunday in May, and it'll give some time for the ministers to prepare their sermons. That third Sunday was June 19th, 1910. That was really the first Father's Day. You know, it stayed in that area of Washington State, but over the years gained a little bit of traction and publicity, and then started getting the attention of those all the way across the country, those in Washington, D.C. To put it in some context, Mother's Day was made an official holiday in 1914 by President Woodrow Wilson. He declared the second Sunday in May to be Mother's Day, to honor that tender, gentle army, the mothers of America. While Mother's Day was an official holiday, Father's Day was not. President Wilson even tried to bring it to Congress around that time, and they're like, nah, no thanks. However, in 1916, President Wilson made his own effort to honor Father's Day by celebrating it personally with his family. And that was a big deal at the time. Still wasn't official, but he celebrated it. Another important date was 1924. President Calvin Coolidge suggested that state governments observe Father's Day. It was to establish more intimate relations between fathers and their children and to impress upon fathers the full measure of their obligations. The men didn't care for flowers and they really weren't into the gifts like people were doing for Mother's Day. People just really thought that this was a commercial push to sell more product. And it really bothered the fathers because they were the breadwinners. So basically, the family was buying gifts for him with his money. During the 1920s and 30s, there wasn't a ton happening related to it. Somebody did try to start Parents' Day and combining Mother's Day and Father's Day together, but that didn't get much traction. You have to remember, too, that this was in the middle of the Great Depression, so 1929 to 1933. Retailers were hurting. These store owners had to do something. So they thought if they promoted, sporting goods, neckties, socks, hats, these things that dads like, they could promote these for Father's Day and almost have like a second Christmas. That will then get people to buy things. Then during and after World War II, advertisers started promoting Father's Day as a way to support and honor the troops. Again, trying to figure out an angle and a way to sell more products. In 1966, President Lyndon Johnson signed an executive order and made the first presidential Father's Day proclamation that the holiday will be celebrated on the third Sunday in June. He requested that the flag be displayed at all government buildings as well. Now remember, this still wasn't official, but that proclamation was made. It wasn't until 1972 that Richard Nixon signed the official proclamation that made Father's Day a federal holiday in the United States. And what has happened over the years is there's been a tremendous increase in spending. Father's Day is big business. Here are some interesting numbers according to the Motley Fool. About $16 billion was spent on Father's Day. Mother's Day was about $25 billion. The average consumer spends about $139 celebrating Father's Day. And how they're spending it? Special outings lead the way at $3.3 billion, clothing $2.5 billion, and gift cards at $2.3 billion. Greeting cards make up only $830 million of that, but it is purchased by the highest percentage of people. It is pretty amazing how much is spent on Father's Day, and it's across the globe. Many different countries may celebrate it at different times or have different customs of what they do, but in general, The idea is pretty much the same. It is honoring fatherhood and celebrating the impact that fathers have in our society. And that in itself is really important. So we get one day a year. Not bad. We'll take it. If you're a father watching this, I do hope that you get to celebrate Father's Day with those that you love, and you get to fill your heart with gratitude. That is the best gift you can get. I would love to hear from you.
So with that, folks, I would like to welcome our panel for today, all the beautiful fathers all around the globe. And there is no particular sequence in which I'm adding them, and there will be no particular sequence in which they will talk as well. So here you go. I think I have everybody here. Yes, I do. So the first question that I have is basically for Father Titus DeCosta from Ahmedabad, India. Uh, but before I ask you the question, I want to do an introduction round with everybody, starting from my top left, and I'll go like bottom right. So on my top left is Jolly Joseph from Toronto, Canada. And one another thing that I wanted to mention is when you give your introduction, please mention about your kids, and because there will be questions coming based on that as well. So Jolly, please go ahead with your introduction.
Thank you, Ashish, for having me here. Yeah, I'm from Toronto, originally from Mumbai, India. I got 3 kids. I got Charlene, who is 24 years old, and I got Shania. She's 19 years old, and I have my beautiful son, 15 years later from the first child, Matthew, 7 years old.
Thank you very much, Jolly. Jayanta.
Hi, I'm Jayanta, as you can see from the screen, I guess. I'm from a place I love to call Lolly, or land of Lalu Yadav, Bihar, Patna. And I have 2 lovely daughters, Oishika and Oshmita. One is 27, the other is 23. And both very inspiring. So me and my wife set up something called the Sangeet Foundation, which believes in happiness through music and the arts. It's about addressing mental health, using music and the arts as a mechanism of creating awareness, as well as a possible complementary therapy.
Thank you very much, Jayanta. Moving on to Pastor Mark Kinman.
Yeah, hi. I have 2 children. I have a son who's 24 years old. His name is Colton. I have a daughter who is 21. Her name is Kylie. And I've been married for 33 years. And my background is basically in the business world. I owned a small business for about 27 years. And I've been pastoring a church for the past 8 years. But I've been involved in ministry locally and abroad for about 25 to 30 years.
Thank you very much, Pastor. All right, Rakesh Shahji from Baroda, India.
Hello everyone. I am Rakesh Shah. I am from Baroda. I have 2 children. I have 2 daughters, 2 beautiful daughters. Elder one is Vaibhavi. She is 31, and the younger one is Rajvi, is 26. I'm into tailoring profession. I'm running my tailoring shop since 35 years in Baroda.
Thank you very much, Rakesh ji. And now coming to Father Titus DeCosta.
I am originally from Mumbai, and for last 20 years I am a priest. Last year I had 2,430 children, and this year I have 1,250 children.
Very nice.
I'm the principal of St. Xavier's Higher Secondary School in Ahmedabad.
Thank you very much, Father DeCosta. So now coming back to my question that I had for you, Father DeCosta, is as you just mentioned that you have thousands of children, right? How how do you feel about that? What is your experience about that? Have you ever thought of people like me and others over here who have just two kids, or one or two kids, or three kids, and you have thousands of kids? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
You know that as I told you today now that I have this year 1,250 children. I feel very proud. You know, I had taken the children for picnic once, and the two girls, their parents didn't come on time, and it was already 10 p.m. at night. I told the teachers, "You go, I will take care of these two girls." So one of the girls asked me, "Father, what is the name of your wife?" And the second girl asked me, "Father, how many children do you have?" And then I said I would answer the second question first. And I told them I have 2,435 children. And then both the girls of ninth grade. So they, wow, and they understood what I meant. So every parent that I meet in school, especially when I admit them in the school, I do tell the parents, once your child enters the campus, I am their father and mother.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
that gives me very good feeling.
Yeah.
Whenever they go out, the parents say, is father coming with you? The children say yes. Then they give them the permission to go out. So today, for last 29 years, I have been the principal of the schools, and I have that beautiful feeling. The children come to my office, not looking at me as a principal. I have told them, I assured them that when you come to my office, just think of your mother and father and come. So what happens? I have one advantage. They are open to you. They do not have that fear that they are getting into principal's office, but they have the assurance that here is the one who can listen to us and who can understand.
Thank you very much, Father Di Costa. That was a beautiful explanation of your role of father for 2000 and whatever, I forget that number, but thousands of kids that you have. Uh, Now, one thing I observed here, majority of us, I mean, sorry, first of all, I should have introduced myself as well. Hi. So I'm Ashish Jha, and I also, like Jayanta and Rakesh ji, have two daughters, 15 and a 17. So what I have observed is majority of us definitely have at least one daughter. So the daughter part is kind of very common. But when it comes to son, I believe Pastor Mark Hinman and Jolly, you both have a son, right?
Yes.
So specific question to both of you, and whoever wants to answer first, it's fine. What is the difference of being a father to a son and a father to a daughter?
I will let
Anybody?
Pastor go first.
All right, Pastor Mark, you go first.
Well, I think it's very different, but at the same time, it's also the same. The responsibility is the same, but I think key is that we have a greater responsibility than just our own children. And we need to look as fathers to be looking at every young man, every young woman that we encounter. We should be father figures. We have a greater responsibility because there's a crisis in this world. But as to my own family, my son is different, and I have to instill in him the things and the importance of being a man, because there's an attack, at least in America, on masculinity, on what it means to be a man. And I have to teach him what it really means to be a father. There is different instruction that I give him than my daughter. I'm trying to raise him so that he will understand and respect women. He sees the way I treat his mother, and I'm trying to raise my daughter so that she will not accept anything less than the way I treat my wife. So my instruction for my son is how to be a man in this world and how to treat women. And my instruction to my daughter is how to expect to be treated. It is very different.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mark. Jolly.
I look at it from a perspective of, my son who is only 7 years old, very narcissistically. I get to do a lot of stuff that I probably did not do with my daughters. I take him golfing. I take him soccer. He likes to kick. He likes to punch. He likes to be active and alive. So it gives me a different opportunity. Maybe I'm older, to see him in a different perspective. So Matthew is like the life of the house right now because he's got 3 brothers, and me. So he comes to me as a father for anything physical. Dad, I just want to come over here and play with you. Dad, can you take me out to the ballpark? So I see the difference over there. But as Mark Pastor said, at the end of the day, what role model am I going to be for my son? Because I am his first father figure. And with all the love and affection that he's getting from home for his sisters and mother, I think I am the connectivity that he first comes through to the outside world as a father figure. So definitely, respecting others and being, empathetic towards everyone. That's what I'm hoping for in my son.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. So now coming to Jayanta and Rakesh, having 2 daughters, and that includes me as well. Has it ever gone through your head, in your mind, that I wish I had a son? Did that question ever occur to you? And if yes, what was your thought process around it? Whoever wants to go first, doesn't matter.
Rakesh ji would like to go ahead with it.
All right, Rakesh ji, go ahead.
Ji. Having 2 daughters is truly blessing. I must say, when I got my first daughter born in 1990, we were so happy. Normally in India, having a baby boy is a big thing. But it was not with us. We take it differently. My elder daughter's name is Vaibhavi. Meaning of Vaibhavi is glory.
Mhm.
And then after, say, 5 years, I got another daughter. We put her name Rajvi, that is kingdom. Glory and kingdom. So having daughters is truly blessings, and I'm very happy with my 2 lovely children.
Fabulous.
Okay. Thank you, Rakesh ji. But my another question was, did you ever feel that you should have had a son at any point in time?
No. See, my wife and I decided to have only 2 children.
Okay.
Just to accompany elder and younger, we decided to have only 2 children, and that's it. We have 2 children, and we are happy with 2 children. So we never thought of having baby boy in our family.
Thank you very much, Rakesh ji. Jayanta, your turn.
Well, they say when you have 1 child, you are a parent. When you have 2, you are a referee. So 2 is already too much to handle. You see, and if you really want to give enough attention, it's too much to handle. So the third one doesn't make. So it never occurred to me that it was a girl or a boy. I just wanted to have good children, you see, and they are just lovely, and like the name. If we go by names, the elder one is called Oishika. Oishika means God's gift, because I do believe that a child is a God's gift, and it's for you to and the child is for you to take care of. They don't belong to you. We just take care of them till they are ready to fly. And which is why I think whether it's a boy or a girl, I think it's still a God's gift. And but like what Rakesh ji said, given the patriarchy of our society. I'll not only limit it to India; it's across. Where in Singapore we were in a taxi, and this taxi driver says, "You got two girls, ah?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Never mind, life. The third one will be a boy." So I said, "No, I don't need. I didn't say. I said, thank you very much. Thank you for the advice, and thank you for that. But these two girls have really been inspirational for me, and I have learned a lot from them. I don't know how much they learned from me, but I had a lot to learn. I had to rejig myself. I had to reset myself in my thinking, in my patriarchy, in my thinking about other communities, in terms of racism, because we Indians, even though we talk about racism around the world, we are one of the most racist people. Yeah, we say that fellow is a Bihari, that fellow is a Bengali, only fish eating, then that fellow is what, a good Jew, there's a Gulti, and you have all these kinds of different names, you see. And I have learned from them how to be tolerant and how not to be, racist or things like that. It's inherent in us, and it's very difficult to come out of it, even though you feel, you are very liberal. Oh, I
Check
can
your
take
text.
everything, but no. And then that slowly dawns upon you that it's not so. So and both of them, and I'm really grateful that they have grown to be independent and no less than a boy, I think.
Thank you, Jayanta. And I will come back to your question of learning from them because that is something that I want to discuss about. But before that, we celebrate this Father's Day once a year. But we all know that our responsibility as a father is every single moment of our life that we are living. So, what is so special about this day? Why celebrate it? Why celebrate that responsibility that you are doing every single moment? Anybody?
So, if I may, you know, I think you rightly said it. Every day is Father's Day, right? So, question is, every day the girls won't come and give me a surprise and say, there has to be something special about a day. It's just that you go around with your work on a regular basis, on a daily basis. Yes, it is there, but there is one day where you celebrate, which makes it a bit special. So, for example, yesterday evening, my daughter stays in London, and during this pandemic times, people are being cautious. And then I was, lying on the sofa watching TV, changing channels, and there was, huge noise on the main door. And I was thinking, I'm getting attacked. There's a burglar at the door. And then this person jumps into the room, and it was my elder one, you see. And it was such joy to see her, and yeah, at the end of the day, they are all visitors now because all of them are grown. They have left the house. They are not part of the household anymore. They are just visitors. They come and stay with us, and it was such a big, great joy to have her, and that's a surprise she would probably not be able to give me every day, you see. And then hence the Father's Day, I suppose.
You just feel special. That's why you want
Yeah,
it at least once a
absolutely.
year. All right. Anybody else wants to add to that? Yes, Father
I
Nicholas.
first and foremost, I would like to congratulate Mr. Jayanta and Rakesh Bhai. I like their views. There are no regrets that they don't have son, and I really appreciate that. Over the years, what is my experience when I ask the parent how many sons and daughters you have? Some of them, at least 20% of them, they put their head down, say, Father, we don't have son. So we, till today in India, the ratio is 857 to 1,000 boys. And for there, therefore, I really liked your views. Now, coming to why should we celebrate? Every morning that you get up, it's a new beginning. So I usually say your birthday is every day, but you celebrate on the day you were born, the date. celebrating Father's Day, it was needed because at least out of 365 days, one day you recognize the role of this man who is a very, very important pillar of a family. And so it has to be recognized. So we cannot recognize it every day it is understood. But one day is special. Just the video has shown us today. So many people having small parties or greeting cards exchange everywhere. Earlier, this particular day was celebrated only in cities. But my WhatsApp over here this morning is full of Father's Day wishing. And even it has gone to, in India is concerned, rural level also. Today in Indian villages too, they are celebrating Father's Day. And to tell you fact, some fathers are wondering, ये क्या हो गया अचानक? Daddy, I love you. Because usually in India, this is the children don't tell daddy, I love you. I'm talking about rural setup. But rural setup too, the daughter or son hugs her father and say, Daddy, I love you. Today, Father's Day. So Sonara, the one who all began this Father's Day, really, she did a great job by starting this Father's Day.
Thank you, Father Di Costa. And just to add to what you mentioned, you said you're proud of Jayanta and Rakesha raising two daughters. But this question always comes to my mind. Have you come across someone who has two sons, maybe? Instead of two daughters, they have two sons, and they are missing a daughter. Why shouldn't that be the case?
Yeah.
Like, why should it
I
be
have
like
come
that?
across I have come across that case
Okay.
because boys generally a little naughty in the school, and when you call the parents, father, I don't know if I have to have daughter, it would have been better. This very very common statement that we hear. We hear.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Father Di Costa. Now, Jayanta, coming back to the question, the point that you had raised earlier, that we learn from our kids. Is there any particular age that you start learning from them?
I don't think so.
And
It's right from
yeah,
childhood, that right from birth, actually, you start learning from them. It's so the time your child is born, right? You learn about real magic in life. Life itself is magic, and then you start believing in magic that it happens. You see, and as the child grows up, there's a lot of learning that you have, starting from your nappy changing, you know, and your daughter. So when my daughter was 1 month old and she had problem with food, eating, and all that, and at 1 month old she did potty all over me, so I knew that I had to clean myself, things like that. So it's a learning process. But as they age, apart from trying to guide them through life, so, and especially nowadays, you don't impart education, you just guide them, because for teaching, Google is there, and you just guide them through that. And but there's so much to take from them, to say the way the world is changing, the new views which are there, the misogynistic views which we have grown up with. There's a lot of discussion around how to be more tolerant, right? And how does it work in the real world? So there's a lot of things which has solidified, ossified on us, and you slowly learn to unlearn that, you see, and learn from them. And one way, of course, they treat me, both of them treat me as a younger brother, and a 5-year-old, and I would fight with them as well. And they would teach me, specifically teach me. But there's a lot of takeaway, like resilience, especially for my elder one. She has had her challenges, mental health challenges. and the way she has fought it through all alone, you see, that has been tremendous, and that has that has shown me that anything is possible. That if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Thank you, Jayanta. Anybody else wants to add to that?
I just want to go back to the regret about the girls being born and not having a boy. My perspective is that we are conditioned by our mindset. We are conditioned by where we came from. I think the cultural nuances of Indians, or we Indians, have got that I need to have a son. I need to have a prodigy that can go through taking my name forward. If you look at North America, whether it is a boy or a girl, I would say it's not a big deal. I think the deal is not whether a boy or a girl, the deal is within our head. Our mindset is conditioned in such a way I need to have a boy, I need to have a girl. So I think the fault is not having it shouldn't even be a regret. I don't have it. So the whole premise is that I don't have a boy, that's a regret. That is conditioned by our upbringing, conditioned by our culture, conditioned by the nuances of our cultural, as you rightly say, the imbalance between a boy and a girl. But we don't see that it is there, but not in North America that much. Like when we had two daughters, we were ecstatic. There was no question it's going to be a boy or a girl. Then we named Matthew, which is not gift of God, not by design, but when that happened, it was a joy. And we did not even wanted to see if it is going to be a boy or a girl. We've been blessed with a child. All we prayed, we need a healthy child, God willing. And my wife was so much into it, she refused to even take a test to see whether the baby has got any genetic disorders, they can inject and find out. He said, no, if at this age we're getting a child and that child doesn't matter, boy or a girl, it is from God and we're going to accept it wholeheartedly. And we did not even know the gender. We did not even the mandatory requirement to test the fetus to see if there is anything, fundamentally wrong with the child. So it's our conditioning, the problem. It is not a boy or child. That was my perspective. And the second question, do I learn from the kids? Unbelievable. In at least in North America, when I see the kids growing up so inclusive, they grow up with. I still have the nuances that we inherited from our mind conditioning. So when I do something wrong, Dad, you can do that. I say, why not? This is not the way things are done, right? So every day it's a learning process. So it's a little bit long-winded, but I just want to touch that point.
Thank you very much, Jolly. The reason I was asking this question is because let me tell you my personal experience. There were like when I was growing up, I used to do everything that my dad used to say, and I used to just follow. He's my dad; he's right. I have to follow. But when I got to an age where I started questioning everything that he was telling me, there were certain things that I would not agree to. Uh, but I was hesitant in telling him that I don't think you are right. I feel that your thought process might not be the only way to think that basically on whatever situation it was. So, but I mean, I grew up in India. You know the relationship between a dad and a son. So I did not want to venture that path where things might go wrong between me and my dad. So, so what happened is I was very sure about this that when I have kids, I am not going to have any particular rule or anything like that. That's, hey kids, I am your dad. Everything I say is right. You are not supposed to question me. So I have raised my kids right from the beginning, like right from when they started understanding what a dad is and when they started talking. I have told them that, hey, more than a dad, I'm a human being and humans do make mistakes. It is important for you to understand that if you think that I am doing something which is wrong according to you, you are completely free to let me know about that. You are completely free to let me know that, hey, dad, I don't think what you're doing is right. And I think you should do it in a different way. And to be very honest, my younger one took it on herself, and she basically anything that I do where she thinks that I'm not doing it correct, like even small things inside the house, like if I eat and if I have not put my dishes into the sink, like, hey dad, pick up your dish, you have not done that. So that's just one example.
Yeah.
So has that was my question. That was the reason for my question. That has that situation come to you, wherein you have felt that my kid might be right, but just because I'm a dad, the kid should listen to me. Or have you? Let me put it in a different way. Have you felt that even though my kids are right, I have a certain viewpoint around it, and I would rather have their viewpoint changed because I feel this is right. Has that happened to any of you?
That definitely has. So
Okay.
where there are cases where you would uh, take a position and you have your own views, because we come back, like what Jolly did say, is that we come wired when we are growing up, you see, and you stay with the wired kind of thoughts, but the children are not. They are wired. They are being wired differently in a different culture, different environment, and then you have your prejudices and you talk about those prejudices, and you would want them to think the way you have been brought up. You call it your culture, you call it your Sanskriti, which is not really the case actually. So and start. So then you get into that conflict where you say, you must believe in this, and they would say, no, why should I? And you get disappointed, but slowly then and we have had so many fights. We are going to Switzerland. It starts as a very innocuous discussion, and I would take one stand, they would take the other, and and this whole thing would get in a big fight. And obviously from that I have learned to be called the 5-year-old brother of my two daughters. You see, so that is that. Well, apart from that, anyway, having said that, it's about you would want to do that, and that's probably because we hold such strong views on certain topics, and uh, but slowly I've learned to give in, to try to understand their perspective, and if you start understanding their perspective, it can give you a more holistic kind of viewpoint of the world, really.
Thank you, Jayanta. Father DeCosta, your situation is a little different. You have thousands of kids, and people come to you for advice. People confide in you. Has it ever happened that somebody has come and said that, Father, what you're saying is wrong? I do not agree to you.
Yes, I do want to share over here. Till the end of 20th century, uh, the openness was not there. As your daughter correcting you, this openness I didn't find. But after coming into this mobile world, now the father is becoming more friendly with the children. Now, whenever the parent comes before me, and I do tell them, you see, you need to be not just a father and mother, you need to be a friend to your child.
Mhm.
Then they say, many times they oppose, no, father, this will not work. I need to be strict. Then I tell them, you need to be strict, but at the same time, be with your son or daughter a friend, a philosopher, and a guide, and then you will enjoy that relationship. But then some traditional parents, they are not so open. But I would say there is big change today. The parents are becoming more friendly with the children, and after we are getting digital. After getting digital, now the parents also know that I cannot bluff my child. Mr. Google is here. And so they go and find out everything. So earlier, the father would answer, but now the daughter or son would say, Daddy, you are wrong. So now
So let me
the
tell.
fathers, huh? So
No,
they are
go ahead.
more, so there are a big challenge before the father. So the father knows before he speaks something to his child, he thinks twice.
So let me tell you my situation. In my situation, it's completely opposite. What I do is, if they come to me with a question, I tell them, "Hey, why do you have that question? Google it and find out. You will get it." So if you don't understand, even that Google will help you understand. But even after that, you still don't understand, then you come to me. Then maybe I'll try. But your first option is go to Google. Google will have every answer that you need. So now coming back to something that one of our viewers, Rachna Sabarbal, said. She is watching this program, and she said, "Daughters are always proud of fathers." Now I want to ask this especially to Pastor Mark. You have a son and a daughter. Is that true? Is that statement true? I think Pastor Mark is having some connectivity issues. Jolly, why don't you go? Because since you have a son and a daughter too.
It depends on the day. What mood they wake up, what mood I wake up with, right? So it's not a constant thing. I mean, we do have our points of view deferred a lot of times, and as Jayanta rightly said, we can have huge fights. Um, the issue sometimes we come across is that we still believe that our values, our tradition, our culture, our language needs to be given to our children. And when they are in a multi-society where where there is a mingling of different cultures with cultural nuances, there's always a constant struggle. I mean, there's no question about it. What we think is the core value, whether it is Christianity, Hinduism, or the traditional cultural values of India, we need to make sure that we carry this forward. We try to instill in them because we strongly believe that they need to be part of that cultural heritage. They might feel differently because they are, they're surrounded by so many cultures that is alien to us, which is right or wrong. There is no right or wrong about it, but they're bombarded with that. We grew up in an environment surrounded, protected by the walls of layers of cultural boundaries, where these kids are not, right? So there is always challenges in the relationship with children. Do they find us, proud? Absolutely. I try to bond the relationship with the children. I take them vacation one-on-one. That's my FaceTime with them because they're normally always on the FaceTime. So I say, hey, you know what? A week or 3 or 4 days, I take them one-on-one. We go for a vacation. That is dad FaceTime with them. So I try and incorporate that and try to be a role model. Am I successful all the time, every time? No. Dad, you're this way. Dad, you're that way. So, yeah, it's a constant battle. But overall, I think the balancing act we have to do between what they think is right and what I think is right. We come from our mind conditioning, and they come from their environment. That is the balancing act is the challenge.
Okay, thank you, Jolly. And my question was mainly around: are only daughters proud of fathers, or both the son and daughter are proud? Because I have heard, and this might be true. You and Pastor Mark would know this better. That sons tend to be more close to their mother, and the daughters tend to be more close to their father. So, Pastor Mark, if your connectivity is fine now, I would like you to answer that.
Well, first of all, let me apologize. The connection was fine at the very beginning, but being here at church, our staff started arriving, and I think our internet just. I've been trying to text people. I've not heard anything that you guys have said, but I did hear that question. But let me answer this very, very quickly. I do have a special connection with my daughter. She's very, very precious to me, and it's very, very important that she see her father as a role model, not how to be a man, obviously, but what to expect out of a man, because one day I'm going to hand her over to a man. So I need her to understand how special and how precious she is. But my relationship with my son is very different. He's proud of me, and I'm very proud of him. It's my desire that he far exceeds in life everything that I've done. And I have to show him. I have to show him how to be a man, how to respect women. You know, fathers are so key. The problem with what we're having in our world, and especially in America, is the absence of fathers and the absence in the mind that we have to be father figures. I'm a father figure to many children, men and women, young boys and girls, just like Father DaCosta. You know, I have a church, but not just because of that. Anybody I meet in life, I have to understand that that is a potential father one day, a potential daughter or wife of a man, and it's so important. And we've missed it in our world. We're trying to cater to everybody's feelings, and we've missed the principles. We've got this sexualized world, and we've got men who are growing up and don't know how to behave in it and how to function in it. They don't know whether they're supposed to be tough and strong or if they're supposed to be soft and sensitive. We're confusing them, and we've got to get back to where it is masculine. It is good to be a man, a manly man. And a manly man doesn't take power over. This is what I teach my daughter. She'll never be disrespected because she's seen me respect my wife. Matter of fact, my son, just by instruction, just by watching, he opens the door for his sister because he sees his father open the door for his mother. And he treats her, even though she's his sister and they may squabble and do sibling fights sometimes, he respects her because she's a female. Not because she's less than and can't do anything, but she is the lesser as far as strength. And that's what we have to teach men. We wouldn't have this Me Too problem, this movements and all these issues in the world if men would just be men and embrace their masculinity and embrace that they are to be an example, whether that they have their own children or whether there's understanding that there's always young boys watching from afar. It's very, very important.
Right. Thank you, Pastor Mark. Now, moving on to the next question that I have. Now, this is something which the people who are from India, like, so other than Pastor Mark, I will explain it to you in English as well. But there is a song that the others can connect to. Tu Hindu banega na Musalman banega, insan ki aulad hai, insan banega. Now, the reason I am bringing this song right now is, so Pastor Mark, the song is basically saying that, so there is a song where the father is telling to the kid that you will not be a Hindu, you will not be a Muslim, you will not be a Christian. You are a human being. You are a son or a daughter of a man, and you will be a human being. That's what you are going to be. And this was being watched by my daughters. And they questioned me that this is what the song is saying, then why are we Hindus? I kind of, at that point, stopped, and it made me rethink what. It's a difficult situation to be in. I mean, I have been raised as a Hindu, even though we keep telling them that all the religions are the same, you have to respect all the religions and everything. Do we need a religion? Was their question. That's exactly what my daughters asked. I did not have an answer to that. Have you, any of you, come across that situation where you were dumbstruck? You had no answer to that question. Coming from an innocent child who is getting molded exactly the way you are molding them. Anyway, I know it's a tough question, but if you have experienced that, I would really like to know, how did you handle that?
So the question they asked you.
Sorry, go ahead, Father DaCosta.
The question they asked you that, do we need a religion? Am I right?
Yes.
You see, we have a lot of air around us. Do we need a fan? Do we need AC? So God plays the role of AC or fan, and that's what we call religion. Because many children in a catechism class too, we have catechism class where we give them the education regarding religion, and there are some boys higher grade boys, maybe 10th, 11th, 12th grade. uh, do I need this class? They ask this question. Why do I need this class? Why should I know about Jesus or about God? And then I try to tell them about this. When you prepare a nice vegetable, why do you put salt in it? So I, on my way of telling them, the religion adds taste to your life. Whomever you believe in, whether I believe in Krishna or Ram or Jesus or Muhammad, anybody, the religion adds taste to our life.
Thank you, Dr. Father DeCosta. Sorry, Pastor Mark, you were trying to say something?
Well, I didn't know asking about the premise of the question, but as far as faith and to answer that question, and I suppose I probably have been asked that question in a form or another. How do you know your religion is right? How do you know that the other God or whatever? But I think the crux of the question and what you began to ask, I think it's important because there needs to be accountability. There's an order of things in life, and if we're not gods, if you train somebody or teach somebody to be a god, then they don't need a higher, then they're not accountable. And I think part of being a father and the premise of this show today is about accountability and teaching accountability. And I think the instructions of a father is to instruct the next generation, is to instruct them that you are accountable, not just to your father, but you have a father. In most religions, I don't want to get into the theology, but most religions have a God or some sort of a hierarchy. There's an order. And when you lack order, when you lack instruction, there's a problem in society. And I think it's important to teach these things.
Thank you, Pastor Mark. Anybody else wants to add to that?
So, religion, I think, see, at the end of the day, religion is like what Father DeCosta and Pastor Tinman did say. It is, so you have to define your way of life, right? So there are some rules you need to set yourself. Any game needs rules, and the life is about setting those rules, and it's about believing in. So there's a question about what rules do I believe in, and that rules that I believe in is what we classify as religion, right? So, and obviously, most of us believe in that higher power, to say there is a higher power that you are accountable to, and to be able to do that, you are accountable to your surroundings as well, accordingly. And the question is, how do you codify those rules? Now, that can be the 10 commandments from Moses, or it can be, Krishna's commandment in Bhagavad Gita, or it can be from the Quran. And 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 the question is, then you need to go by those rules, but take them in the spirit of it and not just by the word of it. And therein lies the conflict. When we say, going back to the song, "Tu Hindu banega na Musalman banega, insan ki aulad hai, insan banega." So firstly, you need to be a good human being before you can
Exactly.
be a Christian, Muslim, or a Sikh, or or a Hindu. The point is that and my way of life is unique, and I have a path that I want to follow, that I believe in, and that path varies. Even in Christianity, there are many different ways. In Hinduism, there are many different ways. In Islam, there are many different ways. There's no such thing as a monolithic religion, really. So we can say Catholicism, yes, is a monolithic religion, but within that also, see, I have studied in a Catholic school. It's an American Catholic school. It was run by what I was telling Father DeCosta about, this Society of Jesus. That was the sect, right? And I used to attend the catechism classes as well. I used to attend what used to known as the character classes, right? And I used to have this joke about all these characterless characters going for the character classes. You see? So, but there was these fathers who would guide when it was, and it was not about conversion. It was not about saying that please become a Catholic with me. They never said that. They said you need to be a good human being. The songs that we learned there, let me be a little kinder, let me be a little blinder to the faults of those about me. Let me praise a little. See, it's about being a good human being, and that's what religion is about. And if you take that religion to an extreme, that's not religion. And then we are deviating. And I think each religion is about teaching you your way of life, how you guide your people, your flock. When I say flock, for it's more for pastor and Father DeCosta, but I think my flock are the people around me who trust me, who believe in me, who think that they look up to me. And of course there are people I look up to where I take my guidance from.
Thank you, Jayanta. So Rakesh ji, you have been quiet for a while.
Yes.
You are the only one who I think is well. Father DeCosta is also in India, but you are the one who has raised your daughters in India, right? Uh,
Yes.
so, so tell us about how what is different about raising a kid in India than raising anywhere else. Like I'm raising my kid over here in the US, Jayanta is in the UK, Jolly is in Canada. So, what is unique about raising your kid in any country? So, starting with India, I would like to know from you, Rakesh.
See, raising daughters in India is a big task. Girls cannot do this. Girls cannot do this. Only boys can do this. See, these criteria is still in India, but I have given full freedom to my daughters that you can do whatever you like. Don't just break the rules. Don't break the red signal. One day, what happened is my daughter drives her scooty and she broke the signal and she got a ticket. I took my daughter to police station and I said that policeman, thank you very much for giving a ticket to my daughter. I'm paying for it and she should learn that we are not supposed to break the signal. So this is what my idea is. And I have given all the freedoms. Whatever they want to do, they do. I have allowed them to go out of station or at any picnic station when after they were 13 plus.
Has it ever occurred to you, knowing the situation in India with the girls, especially, and you have two daughters, have you ever feared of them coming back home safe?
No, not exactly, but I think India is where I stay. Vadodara is a safe city, and we don't have that kind of issue. And I have not occurred that fear.
That's really great because I have a couple of friends who kind of feel that when they go to India, they are not sure about like they want to be around their daughters all the time. That might not be the case anymore, but that's just based out of an experience that I have heard from one of my friends. Father DeCosta, you wanted to say something?
Yeah,
I
I
saw
would
you
like
nodding.
to. I would like to add to what Mr. Rakesh said. The situation in India is improving day by day. Day by day, the parents are trusting their daughters.
Good.
Earlier, it was not there. Now they are trusting. Regarding the safety of the girls, if I can speak only for Gujarat, at night, 12 o'clock, a girl can straight walk on the street, no problem. I'm talking only for Gujarat. So, Mr.
That's the
Rakesh, am I
question.
right?
Like I was talking India in general. I know
Yeah, yeah,
maybe Gujarat, maybe Mumbai, it might be fine,
yeah.
but We don't have anybody here from Delhi because I was basically pointing to Delhi right now.
Yeah, it may be difficult in Delhi or maybe in Bihar or in UP or in Mumbai, but in Gujarat, as Father D'Costa said, Gujarat is the safest state, I must say, and Ahmedabad and Baroda is much safest.
So, what do you think is the reason? Why is Gujarat safest, and why are not other cities or other states in the India are not? What's the reason?
See, so far I know the ratio of education is much higher in Gujarat. Am I right, Father D'Costa?
You're right. You're right. Go ahead.
So education makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does.
Gujarati people, they have big focus on education, and they want their children to get educated. So educated children knows where to go, and how to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
So
Thank you.
that is the reason why Gujarat is much safer than any other state in India.
Right. Thank you, Rakesh ji. Coming back to you, Pastor Mark, I know we are over an hour, but this is my last question, I promise. I mean, I'm enjoying the discussion. That's why I'm just asking one after the other. So, Pastor Mark, does that question come as a surprise to you, living in the United States?
Well, I don't think it comes as a surprise because there are areas certainly in the United States that I would be concerned about my daughter. And I think there's like, I've traveled to different parts of the world, and when you know a city, when you have understanding, you know which parts are unsafe and what to do and where to do it. But I think, all of these problems, we could come up with a list of problems. And I think this day is so important. And the reason that we're doing this, we could blame society, we could blame governments, we could blame religion, we could blame a lot of things. But it really comes back to what I said earlier. It comes back to the lack of men, fathers training men. If we fathers trained boys, that even them aren't ours, we say, hey, listen, that's not acceptable. If we just raised up men to be men, we wouldn't have problems. We wouldn't have these problems with where do our daughters go. We wouldn't have these problems with crime. We're in a society in America. It's just truth is relative. It's whatever your truth is, whatever makes you feel good. And that can't work. There's 6 of us pictured here. If we all said, we'll do whatever you want, each of you, how could we have to respect each other. And we're blaming everything. We're trying to come up with these new rules and new ways of trying to fix things. And how do we solve crime? How do we solve the education? How do we solve the respect for fathers? We fathers, if we just do our job, we'll raise good daughters. Like Rakesh, she's got 2 strong girls. He's put them out into the world. And it begins with just being good fathers and raising men. I think it's so important that fathers instruct and encourage our daughters and our sons to be seekers of truth, not just accept what man decides or tells you with what religion or what the things of the world are. Be seekers of truth. Truth is absolute. And when you have the more truth, don't you have more success in your life because you have more answers? And I think we've got to get focused back on what it really, really means to be a father and a father figure and a role model. Fathers be role models, not athletes or famous people with money. Fathers should be. And to the boy and the girl next door, even.
I would agree. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Mark. So I am I'm enjoying this discussion. I could have continued as long as you want, but we should respect time. And because of the time, I am going to end this program. But before I end, any last few words that anybody would like to talk? Yes, Rakesh ji, please.
I would like to know how many of us understands Hindi.
I think other than Pastor Mark, everybody else.
Pastor Mark, I have written something in Hindi. You can Google translate it, but I would like to express my feeling on Father's Day in Hindi. So, आइज ओपन इंटरनेशनल के सहयोग से भारत एफएम माध्यम द्वारा पितृ दिवस उत्सव समारोह में सम्मिलित होने पर मैं अपने आप को खुशकिस्मत समझता हूँ। मेरे सहयोगी संवादी सभी का मैं अभिवादन करता हूँ। खास तौर पर आशीष जी, मैं आपका तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ कि आपने मुझे हिंदी मातृभाषा में बोलने का, राष्ट्रभाषा में बोलने का अवसर दिया।
जरूर।
पूरा जीवन अपने बच्चों और समाज में अतुल्य योगदान के लिए हर साल जून महीने के तीसरे रविवार को ये दिवस मनाया जाता है। किंतु कोरोना महामारी के चलते अलग-अलग देश और अलग-अलग स्थानों पर होते हुए भी हम इस बीजाणु उपकरण के माध्यम से यहाँ इकट्ठा हो पाए हैं। भारतीय परंपरा में पिता का अतुल्य महत्व होता है। हमारी संस्कृति, हमारे विचार, हमारी परवरिश, शिक्षा और संस्कार हमें पिता से ही मिलते हैं। मेरे जन्मदाता पिता के अलावा मैं जिसे पिता तुल्य समझता हूँ, वैसे 3 व्यक्तियों का यदि नाम नहीं लूँगा, तो आज का ये कार्यक्रम मेरे लिए पूरा नहीं होगा। मेरे जीवन घड़तर में सबसे बड़ा योगदान है वैसे मेरे मामा जी, जो बम्बई में रहा करते थे। वो स्वर्गवासी हो चुके। वो मुझे बम्बई ले गए और उन्होंने मुझे अच्छी शिक्षा दी, मुझे डिसिप्लिन सिखाई। तो स्वर्ग में भी मैं उनको आज नमन करता हूँ, जिनके कारण मैं आज आपके सामने उपस्थित हो पाया हूँ। दूसरे बड़ौदा में डॉक्टर ठाकुर भाई पटेल साहब, जिन्होंने मुझे बड़ौदा में पनाह दी। बम्बई से आने के बाद मुझे बड़ौदा में पनाह दी। गुजरात के पंचायत मिनिस्टर रह चुके थे वो, हेल्थ मिनिस्टर भी रह चुके थे और बड़ौदा शहर के मेयर भी रह चुके थे। उनका भी स्वर्गवास हो चुका है, मैं उनको भी स्वर्ग में नमन करता हूँ। और तीसरे मिस्टर B.N. वाघेला, जिनके वहाँ मैंने टेलरिंग की शिक्षा प्राप्त की। आई होप आई एम नॉट टेकिंग मच टाइम।
नहीं, दैट्स ओके, गो अहेड।
ये 3 पिता तुल्य सज्जनों को यदि मैं याद न करूं तो मैं निर्गुणा कहलाऊंगा। तो आज के दिन मैं उनको भी याद करके उनको नमन करता हूं। पिता के बिना इस संसार की कल्पना अधूरी है। तो ये मैं मेरे पिताजी को भी नमन करता हूं। यह दिन देखभाल और प्यार की सराहना करने के लिए समर्पित है, जो एक पिता अपने बच्चों पर बरसाता है। यूं प्यार बरसाते बरसाते बिता देता है एक उम्र औलाद की हर आरजू पूरी करने में। उसी पिता के कई सपने बुढ़ापे में लावारिस हो जाते हैं। आजकल मौका परस्ती हावी हो गई आशीष जी। ये मौका परस्ती वाली जब बात आती है ना, कि 2 भाइयों के बीच की जो अनबन होती है ना, उसमें उसके भोग माता और पिता दोनों बनते हैं। औलाद का कर्तव्य है कि बूढ़े पिता और माता को बोझ न समझे। माँ बाप को ये बात का एहसास जरूर कराए कि माता पिता के साथ आप रह रहे हैं, माता पिता उनके साथ नहीं रह रहे। एक वाकया याद आता है मुझे। मेरे अजीज मित्र एडवोकेट अवधूत सुमंत बेंगलुरु से बम्बई ट्रैवल कर रहे थे। बगल में एक सज्जन बैठे हुए थे, वेटिंग लॉज में प्लेन के इंतजार में बैठे हुए थे। अपने काम में मशगूल थे और बगल वाले सज्जन का फोन की घंटी बजती है और वो गुजराती में बात करने लगते हैं। तो जैसे गुजराती सुनता है तो उनके कान चौकन्ने हो जाते हैं। तो बात में सामने वाले ने पूछा कि क्या कर रहे हैं माता पिताजी? तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं माता पिताजी के साथ रहता हूँ और हम लोग बम्बई में रहते हैं। तो ये सुनकर उन्हें बड़ा अच्छा लगा। और मैं आपको वो सज्जन का नाम बता दूं, वो थे श्री अजीम प्रेम जी, विप्रो के चेयरमैन। ये सत्य घटना है। मैं आज इसका जिक्र इसलिए करता हूँ कि इतने बड़े इंसान होने के बावजूद वो ये कहते हैं कि मैं मेरे माता पिताजी के साथ रहता हूँ। आजकल हर नौजवान ये कहते हैं कि मेरे माता पिता मेरे साथ रहते हैं। तो ये बात का हमें एहसास करना चाहिए माता पिता को कि माता पिता की पनाह में हम हैं, हमारी पनाह में माता पिता नहीं है। ये बात मैं सब तक पहुंचाना चाहूँगा इस माध्यम के जरिए कि माता पिता को अगर आप वृद्धाश्रम में रखते हैं तो उससे बड़ा पाप कोई नहीं है।
मेरे पास, as I said, कि I had lot of questions in my mind because it's such a wonderful discussion that we are having. But unfortunately, we have, as I said, we have to respect time, and we will try to cover this in another occasion, and we will continue at that point in time because everybody has something or the other lined up for the day. It's a special day for all of us, and we would like each one of you to celebrate and continue with the celebration of the Father's Day and be a wonderful, as Jayanta ji said, and I agree too, that before being a good father, be a good human being. So that is extremely important. Being a good human being automatically solves a lot of your problems. So with that, I would like to end the show. Thank you very much to each one of you, Jolly, Jayanta, Pastor Mark, Rakesh ji, and Father DeCosta. Thank you very much for coming here on Bharat FM on this special day, on Father's Day, and with your wonderful experiences and having our audience enjoy this show.
Thank you.
Continue with your.
God bless
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Bless you.
God bless.
Yeah.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one of its kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information, and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago, and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sfurti, shakti, and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.